you start.
Diesel does it again.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
It's Brighton. Diesel does it again. Brighton reading. Duck and Percy enjoyed their work at the harbour, pulling and pushing trucks full of cargo to and from the quay. But one morning the engines were exhausted. The harbour was busier than ever. The Fat Controller promised that another engine would be found to help them. "It's about time," said Percy. "I ache so much I can hardly get my wheels to move," agreed Duck. They waited for the engine to arrive. It came as a shock when he did. "Good morning," squirmed Diesel in his oily voice. The two engines had not worked with Diesel for a long time. "What are you doing here?" gasped Duck. "Your worthy fat, the top of my hat, sent me. I hope you are pleased to see me. I am to shunt some dreadfully tiresome trucks." "Shunt where?" said Percy suspiciously. "Where? Why, from here to there," purred Diesel, "and then again from there to here. Easy, isn't it?" With that, Diesel, as if to make himself quite clear, bumped some trucks hard. "Ooh!" screamed the trucks. "Grrr!" growled Diesel. Percy and Duck were horrified. They did not trust Diesel at all. They refused to work and would not leave the shed. The Fat Controller was enjoying his tea and iced bun when the telephone rang. "So there's trouble in the harbour yard. I'll be right there."
I'll be there right away.
"I'll be there right away."
Mum got it wrong.
I did. Diesel was working loudly and alone. Cargo lay on the quay. Ships and passengers were delayed. Everyone was complaining about the Fat Controller's railway. Percy and Duck were sulking in their shed. "What's all this?" demanded the Fat Controller. We're on strike, sir," said Percy. "Yes," added Duck. "Beg pardon, sir, but we won't work with Diesel, sir." Then, in a quiet voice, he added,
Hurt voice,
he added, "You said you sent him packing, sir." "I have to give Diesel a second chance. I am trying to help you by bringing Diesel here. Now, you must help me. He was the only engine available." Percy and Duck went sadly back to work. Next morning, though, things were no better. Diesel's driver had not put his brakes on properly, and Diesel started to move. He went bump straight into Percy. Percy had an awful fright. "Wake up there, Percy," scowled Diesel. "You have work to do." He didn't even say he was sorry to Percy. Later, Diesel bumped the truck so hard the loads went everywhere. "What would the Fat Controller say?" gasped Percy. "He won't like it," said Duck. "So who's going to tell him, I wonder?" said Diesel. Two little goody telltales like you, I suppose." Percy and Duck did not want to be telltales, so they said nothing. Diesel, thinking he could get away with his bad behaviour, was ruder than ever. Next day he was shunting trucks full of china clay. He banged the trucks hard into the buffers, but the buffers weren't secure. The silly trucks were sunk. Soon the Fat Controller heard the news. The trucks were hoisted safely from the sea, but the clay was lost.
Mum got it wrong again.
Sorry. The Fat Controller spoke severely to Diesel. "Things worked much better here before you arrived. I shall not be inviting you back." Now, Duck and Percy, I hope you won't mind having to handle the work by yourselves again. Oh, no, sir. Yes, please, sir, replied the engines. Whistling cheerfully, they puffed back to work while Diesel sulked slowly away. The end. No sleep for Cranky.
Are you reading next?
I'm reading this next. There's no sleep for Mummy either. I'm tired. Brighton. No sleep for Cranky. Brendam Docks was always very busy. Cargo ships came there from all over the world. Poor Cranky the crane, who worked at the docks, was never allowed a nap. He worked all the time, night and day, so he was always cranky. One morning, Cranky was unloading some pipes from a cargo ship and putting them into trucks. "Ahoy there, Cranky!" called Salty, the dockyard Diesel. "Where have you been?" snapped Cranky. "Well, that's not a very cheerful way to say hello," Salty replied. Next, the twin engines Bill and Ben arrived for work. "Hurry up, you two," shouted Cranky. "I haven't got all day." "You're no fun," grumbled Bill. "You wouldn't be fun if you were stuck up here by yourself," snapped Cranky. "So that's why you're so cranky," said Bill. "You're lonely." "I am not," Cranky cranked. "If you're lonely, I'll keep you company," said Salty. "I could tell you a story." Salty loved nothing better than to tell stories about the sea, but everyone else thought they were boring. "Not another one of your stories," groaned Cranky, and he carried on lifting pipes. "He was in the middle of a wild storm," began Salty, but Cranky didn't want to listen. He was so cross that he dropped the pipes all over the track. The pipes rolled towards a big shed. Crash! They hit it so hard that the shed came tumbling down. Bill, Ben and Salty were trapped. "Whoops," said Cranky quietly. "You're going to be in big trouble," giggled Bill and Ben. The Fat Controller was in his office being measured for a new waistcoat. When he heard the news, he went straight to the docks. There was a big mess. The Fat Controller needed Harvey the crane engine to clear it up. But Harvey was on the other side of the island and wouldn't get there until the next day. The Fat Controller had to speak to Cranky through a megaphone. "You have made a terrible mess, Cranky," he called crossly.
"You have made a terrible mess, Cranky," he said sternly.
"I'm sorry, sir," whispered Cranky.
"I'm sorry, sir,"
Bill,
Cranky whispered.
"Bill, Ben and Salty," said the Fat Controller, "you will have to stay here until Harvey can clear up this mess in the morning."
"You engines will have to stay here tonight until Harvey cleared up this mess in the morning."
"This reminds me of a story," began Salty. "Not another one of your stories," groaned Cranky. Salty spent all night telling Cranky about wild storms, dangerous adventures and brave ships. Cranky tried not to listen, but he couldn't get away. When the sun rose, Cranky was still talking. "We can't take any more," creaked Cranky.
Salty was still talking.
At last Harvey pulled up. "I'm here to clear away the mess," puffed Harvey. Cranky was so pleased that he forgot to be cranky. After all, once the mess was cleared up, Salty and his stories would go away. I'll never be cranky again, promised Cranky, after Salty left. As long as I don't have to listen to any more Salty stories. Cranky worked hard all day. He carefully loaded the trucks. He even said please and thank you to the engines. Cranky's being very polite, puffed Thomas to Percy. I hope it will last, smirked Percy.
This is new.
Smiled Percy. But as time went on, Cranky went back to his old ways. He became crankier than ever. Oh well, it was nice while it lasted, agreed Toby.
Said
Percy to Thomas. Yes, said Thomas, and if Cranky gets too cross, we know what to do. What? Asked Percy. We'll ask Salty to tell him a few more stories, smiled Thomas. The engines laughed, but Cranky didn't think it was very funny.
And all the engines laughed.
The end.
But Cranky was still cranky.